As we think of Advent, a great text is in Isaiah chapter 11. We're told, Vayatsa hoter megeza yesha. Megeza yesha. That is, a shoot will come forth from Jesse, or will spring forth. Venetzer, and a branch from his roots will bring forth, or will spring forth. I've thought about this word netzer. It's interesting. It actually means a branch. When we look at the New Testament, and we look at Matthew chapter 2, Matthew, I believe, alludes to this idea of the netzer when Jesus goes to Nazareth, and we're told that it might be fulfilled through the prophet saying, he shall be called a Nazoraios. He shall be called a netzer. Here I think we have a clear application of this netzer idea to Jesus going to Nazareth. It's sort of like saying, the branch, isn't it interesting, went to Branchtown. And as we think about all of this, Jesus is truly the branch that comes forth from David. We see this idea of the branch throughout the Hebrew Scriptures, Jeremiah 23, for example, Zechariah chapter 6. And so that reference is very interesting as it's applied to Jesus. Also, the idea of Jesus being the final David is found in the Hebrew Scriptures. For example, in the book of Yehezkel or Ezekiel, we have a reference in Ezekiel chapter 34 where it speaks of David as the shepherd that is to come. Ezekiel says, I will establish over them one shepherd, and he will shepherd them, and it will be my servant David. Abdi David. He will shepherd them. And as we move on, the statement is made again in verse 22, Abdi David, my servant David, will be in their midst. I'm really taken by that idea of David as the shepherd, because Jesus is the final David. As we look at the Gospel of Matthew, we have 14 generations from Abraham to David, 14 generations from David to the Babylonian exile, and 14 from the Babylonian exile to Mashiach, or to Christ. 14 reminds us of David, because in Hebrew, David equals 14. Dalet, 4, Vav, 6, Dalet, 4, and by using sort of a gematria, when we put those words or those letters together, we end up with 14. And that refers to David, almost like double perfection is here, 7 being perfection. Doubling that, we have 14. So the final David is here. And I can't help but feel that Matthew is driving that theme home, not only then in chapter 1, but also chapter 2, where the branch who comes from David as the final David moved to Branchtown. And so this whole interconnection of David and the final Messiah refers to Jesus, who is the final David, who is that shepherd that wants to shepherd us if we put our faith in him as Lord and Savior.